This video module covers what is probably the most important homestead tracker module, and that is crop management, covering everything from seed inventory, storing your seeds, growing veggies and food, as well as your fruit orchards. There's a number of ways that you can start to be able to use this module, but I want to go through it systematically, module by module, because it is quite a big module. It's a very comprehensive module, but it's going to fundamentally change how you grow food and track your food growth and harvest on your homestead. To get started, heading into the home screen on both desktop and mobile, you'll see a whole bunch of tabs. And these tabs or buttons will give you the ability to do quick things in the garden. Things like adding a new task, adding a quick harvest, adding some care logs to your fruit orchard, and harvests in your fruit orchard as well. Each one is linked to a form, and you can see that it's pulled through to your garden tasks in terms of maintenance, financial planning, crops, all of those things. A garden harvest, there we go. You can put your crop name in there. You got your orchard care log, your tree that pulls through from the tree database, which you'll see in a little bit, and then your orchard harvest as well, where you're pulling through your tree. You can then log, and we'll go into that relevant module. The same applies from a mobile point of view. If we have a look at what the mobile app looks like, it'll show you today's weather and then a whole bunch of extra cool things that you can do, which is just to scroll up, add in a task, and off you go. If you are walking through the garden and you picked 2 apples, you can just quickly go orchard harvest, tree, Granny Smith, quantity 2, units is each, quality excellent. This was a great day walking through the orchard and picking ripe apples. We record our harvest, and then if we head back into our orchard tab, just to fast forward a little bit, we'll be able to, under harvest, be able to pick it up on this side. So then what we will be doing then is going through this systematically. So if we go to crop management, you will see that there are 4 main sub-modules within the crop management module. I want to go through this module by module so that I can put the timestamps into this video so that people can very easily move between them and get the full training on the module rather than jumping through all of it. I'm going to start at the very end though. I'm going to start with the seed inventory, tracker, seed bank, whatever you want to call it. Now within this section, you can add in all of your seeds, whether they are freshly harvested, whether they are bought from a store, and you can add in a whole bunch of information. This becomes your bank of what you're going to be using your data, your seeds for moving forward inside the crop plan and the garden management modules. So what you can do is you can filter by a variety of different things. You can search the seeds by name. So if we just say black, then we've got Crim Black, and it's a near instant search. We can also filter by crop. So if we've got 15 different tomatoes, we can, rather than looking for them one by one, we just simply filter by tomato and it'll remove everything else. We can export as a CSV. So should you be concerned that your seed bank become lost somewhere, you can always export the full list. This homestead tracker is fully open. You can export whatever you want to. You are not locked in or tied in whatsoever. And then you can, once you've added, you can edit and delete should you have made a mistake or you just want to update. So let's say your cherry tomatoes, these ones expire, but you've bought new ones. It's up to you to add maybe cherry tomatoes 2025, or you can just update the existing one with the latest batch of seed that you bought. That is completely up to you. And then when adding seed, you can put in the name, the variety. Let's just go with Oz Brown. Supplier for me would be Living Seeds. We purchased it over the weekend, and the expiration is let's say in a year's time. And then you can add notes, source notes, where you got it from, how you got it, was it a seed swap, anything like that. And you can add in some extra notes as well. This will be then a comprehensive bank of seed notes for yourself. And that is, in essence, the seed inventory module. It's very basic, but it provides a centralized point of storage for all of your seed data. Now, moving on to the garden management module, this is where we are busy managing our garden. And what we are busy doing here is we are listing everything that we are currently growing or that we want to grow. We are managing our tasks. We are maintaining health. And then we are also busy tracking all of our harvests. The really great thing about how this garden management module works is it groups everything by crop. That's why this crop list is so important. And the difference between the crops and the seed inventory is you could have bought a whole bunch of seedlings from the nursery, and those you would then put in as a crop. For instance, celery. You could have bought a tray of celery, then you would add them in as a crop. You could have seed inventory as your crop as well, but then what you would do is you would want to choose from your seed. Let's say this was celery. It's not, it's tomato, but let's say it was celery. Then you would say when your planting date is and your expected harvest date. What's going to happen then is this is going to become a list of everything you are actively growing right now. So that's the big difference between a crop list and the seed inventory. Seed inventory is everything. Your crop list is everything you are growing right now. And then what you can do is at the end of the season, you can come in and, for instance, just clean this up and delete. Or if you're going to keep growing the same crops year after year, I know I like doing that. I find what works. For instance, the carrots. There are 2 varieties of carrots I like to grow. Those 2 will always be in my all crops. But I might have a few experimental seeds in my seed bank. So that's how you can use these 2 differently. Your crop list is going to pull through into everything else. So if we head over into tasks, this is just where we can set what we need to be doing in the garden. And once again, this is where the power of this integrated Homestead Tracker app comes into its own. This task list is fully integrated into the farm calendar. If we go over here. So if we head over into September, you can see we have our task over there of planting seedlings, which is on the 10th of September. If we go to crop management, garden management, tasks, 10th of September, plant seedlings. So all the tasks that you add into your garden management task tab will show up in your farm calendar. So once again, this is something that you could sit at the beginning of a season and add in your full seasonal tasks. When to set up irrigation, when to clean up the beds, when to fertilize, water, preventative pest checks. You can do all of that here so that at the end of the day, all you are doing is you are just working via your farm calendar. Then if we head back to garden management, we also have our health logs. And what you will see, just back to crop care and tasks, you can filter tasks by task name, status, and priority. And then you can obviously add new tasks. But if you're in the task management section and you forgot to add a crop from the crop list over here, you can always just add a crop up at the top over here. You don't need to keep hopping between the various tabs should you have forgotten something. If we look at the health logs tab, this is where it also becomes quite handy in that all of the entries are grouped by crop. So here we have our orchard beans. If we look at our crop list, we have our orchard beans. So everything is grouped by crop. And we can see we have 2 items here. We have a health check and a treatment. Our health check was to check if there's any signs of red spider mite, because beans are notoriously challenging when red spider mites start getting into them. And then we also said we put in some fertilizer around the beans on this date. This will log all your activity per tree or per vegetable or crop, so that you can keep a historic log of when you have done what. So this is a simple little section, but it's really, really helpful. You can then filter by the type of logs. So if you want to see all of your pests that you have in the garden, you can just simply filter by pest, and we can see we don't have anything that's logged for pest. This was just a health check. And then we can search through individual things, and then we can also add a new health log, which is, once again, the crop that you select in the form would be the crop from the crop list that you're adding in, the active list of crops that you are growing. If we head over to the harvest tracker, then we just add a harvest. We select from the crop being the living, growing crop list that we have. And then once we go through this whole form, we can select the quantity, the unit, kilograms, bushels, gallons, whatever it is that you want. And what would happen is the grouping of harvests would be similar to the health log inputs, where we would have beans, we would have multiple harvests. I think a good example is on the OrchardManagement, where I have some data. You can see we have multiple harvests over here, where we have 6 kilos, 3 kilos, and then it totals it up to 9 and a total of 2 harvests. The garden management tool is exactly the same. Our harvest tracker, we'd have it by crop over here, listing all the individual harvests, so we can see how many harvests we got from a crop in a specific season, and then we get some really, really good data that we can work with. And that is the garden management module. It is quite simple, but there's quite a lot of options within it, and it is super useful for maintaining your garden and keeping a historic log of everything that is happening inside your veggie garden. Then we get into the really, really big, juicy, and important module, which is the crop planner. This is a crop calendar, a crop planner, a planting planner, whatever you want to call it. Basically, what this is you'll see up at the top. This gives you a full year of monthly breakdown. And it will automatically give you the tasks in the month that you are currently in. We're currently in October. So I can see right now I should be planting celery, transplanting my onions, and seeding my tomatoes. If I go into next month, I can see I need to direct sow my onions and I need to transplant some tomatoes. So it's a really, really nice way to see what needs to be done. And if you add a specific planting date, like this, where we have this date, I want to plant my celery, it will show up in the farm calendar, and it would show up in your upcoming tasks as well. So here we have sowing seeds celery, and then we'll just some of the dummy data. We have our expected harvests as well. So it'll all show up in your upcoming tasks, but it will also show up in your calendar. So here we have the 25th of October. We have to transplanting over there. Now, if we have a look at what that is, the 25th is the transplanting of celery. So all we need to do is just simply filter through our months and have a look at what we are doing this month and focus on that. You can then hop between planting and harvesting. So we can see that right now, nothing needs to be harvested. It's too early in the growing season. But if we move over into next month, we can see we can start harvesting some of our carrots and tomatoes that we planted in August, in August already. So now we know we planted it on this date, and our expected harvest is round about this date. So it's all the information is here. And once again, it pulls through into your calendar as well, but you're not tied to a calendar view, which can get very, very messy and confusing. This just simplifies things by putting it into monthly blocks, and you just simply go between them. Now, to be able to set this up, there is an intelligent form that was built. And if we add an entry, you have the option to add a manual entry, which is you can add in your crop name, variety, everything else. You can also add it from the crop list, the crop list going back to the previous module we spoke about. That's everything that we added in. These are the active ones that we said we're going to grow this season. You can also add it from your seed inventory. And your seed inventory is that seed bank which you also created. So this is once again a fully integrated aspect of the Homestead Tracker where we have different things in different modules, but it all comes together into a single view to be able to seamlessly use all the data. So if we say we're going to add from the crop list and we want to plant garlic, it's completely the wrong time to be planting garlic, by the way. But then we can say we want to add 20, no notes. Then what you will get within this form is, to simplify things as much as possible, we just have, when are you sowing seeds? Do you need to transplant? Do you need to direct sow them? And when are you harvesting? The difference between sowing and direct sowing is you would sow into modules or trays, which would then need you to transplant them. If you direct sow, then you naturally wouldn't transplant. So if you have sowing, and let's say we're sowing seeds in August and we are transplanting in September, we won't be direct sowing and we will be harvesting in February, as an example. That's not really correct. If we don't add dates, it's not going to show up in the farm calendar. It will show up in the monthly views inside the crop planner. But if we say we're going to add in specific dates, then all of these specific dates will show up in our calendar. Let's create the entry. Okay, and now if we go to September, we can see we have garlic white transplanting. If we go to August, we can see garlic white seeding, planting date on the 23rd. We go to the farm calendar, we go back here, we go back to the 23rd. Maybe it still needs to pull through, but it will pull through on the 23rd over here. I have mentioned it in a few of the other modules. Because of the complex nature of all the integrations, it can take a little bit of time for something to pull through in some instances. But if we go back to the crop planner, if we then go into harvesting and we have a look at February, we can see our garlic white is due for harvest. And what is nice about this is you don't have to give a specific date. You can give a specific month if you want to, which then gives you more flexibility as to when you're actually harvesting your crops. You can then also log a harvest over here, and you would then choose from your crop, let's say our carrots, when you harvested them, what the quality was like, quantity, unit, you can choose over here. And then your harvesting record that you add in here is going to pull through into your garden management and your harvest tracker over here. So once again, a really good example of full integration. So the crop planner is a really, really key component to the Homestead Tracker. We've tried to simplify this as much as possible so that you're not using complicated layouts, very, very overwhelming calendars and spreadsheets and all of those. This is just a simple tabbed module which shows you everything you need to do in a month-to-month basis. Then if we head over to orchard management, this is also a very, very key component to homestead tracking and just homesteading in general, which is growing fruit trees, having fruit trees. Most homesteads have fruit trees. So here we have, very similar to our crop planner, we have our tree database. And everything subsequently in this sub-module is going to be based on the tree database. Our tree database is everything that we are currently growing on our homestead. Here we have an apple, a cherry, and an orange. If we add a tree, you can see some of the data that we are tracking. We have the species, the variety, the location, planting date, tag number, rootstock, and some notes. This is just simply a repository of trees. We can then filter by species. So if we have 15 different apple trees, we can just simply go apple and we can see all of our apples. Or we can look by name. If we go back to all, we can just say granny, and you'll see how quickly it filters through into the specific item. Then if we head over to care logs, you'll see we have the option here to track exactly what's going on with this tree. If we add a care log, as with the garden management and crop planning tool that pulls through the seed inventory module, this pulls through the tree database. So everything that is in the tree database will pull through into your subsequent modules. So the trees from the tree database show up here. So this is for our Granny Smith. And then we have our different care types. Was it summer pruning, winter pruning, thinning, fertilizing, pests, irrigation, mulching, cover crop? If there's anything else that you think is missing that you want there, please head over to the feedback and support, submit feedback, feature suggestion, and then you have an option to put in the module section and a description saying, I need another drop down in this field, for example. If we head back to Orchard Management, care logs, you'll see that what the care logs do is it groups all your items per tree. So here we can see in our cherry, we did winter pruning, and it was a heavy prune, and it was structural pruning. And then in spring, we did some fertilizing, and it was very early on in spring. So we can see we get all of our notes very quickly in full view, so we can start comparing. And as you work through the season, you can have a look at what's going on with this tree. You can then compare what you did this year, for instance, 2025, to last year or next year or whatever the case may be. And then you can start looking at analytics where you can say, for our Granny Smith apple, we've got 1 year of data, and this year was a really poor harvest. We can go back to our care logs, and here we can see actually there was a lot of pests this specific year, and we had to do a whole bunch of treatments. But everything is stored, everything is logged per tree so that you can very easily see what's going on. Then, like in the other modules, you can either add the action, but if you forgot to add a tree, you can just add it up at the top as well. It's present throughout the module, so you can just very quickly add something if you have forgotten. If we head over to harvests, you quickly saw this in the other module. What we are doing here is we are showing how we are grouping all of our harvests together per tree. So we can see our Granny Smith apple has a total of 9 kilograms, and this is over 2 different harvests, February, January, and February. We've got our tags for our different quality and how many harvests we have got. This is also really cool because it's grouping it per tree. To record a harvest, you once again pulling through your tree. It's our orange, date, quantity, unit, and quality with some optional notes. If you have notes, they will show up over here like they do on your care logs, and then you can just, rather than going into each one, you can just have a look at your notes one below each other and have a quick visual overview of exactly what's going on. Then if we move over to soil health, some of you might use this, some of you might not. But for those of you that do want to use it, I feel like this could be an incredibly valuable addition. You have, under soil health, you have soil tests and soil amendments. Your soil test is just to log all of your test data. So if we show you, we can add in our location. So if we're doing test samples from multiple locations, we can tag those. You can put in the GPS coordinate there if you wanted to. When we tested it, depth, pH, and then we've got everything else. We've got organic matter, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, calcium, potassium, micronutrients, lab recommendations, notes, all of that. And this would obviously log all the results. And if you have multiple results, they will be structured exactly the same, so you can compare the columns side by side in terms of, are they improving, which you can then go back to your harvests and saying, is our soil health on this specific date, there was an improvement. That season, did we see an improvement in kilograms or total harvest yield? Then from an amendments point of view, you can add that, once again, location. Should you want to pop in a GPS coordinate here, you absolutely can. And then you've got an amendment type over here, where you have wood, ash, other, kelp meal, gypsum, lime, manure, compost, all of those things. And then you can choose how you added it to your fruit orchard or your individual tree. And then you'd also have your amendments chronologically ordered, so you can see exactly what you did when. which is really, really good. Once again, looking back into cares, harvests, all of those things. And then something you don't often find, which is very, very valuable for you as a homesteader growing your own fruit, is phrenology. Now, within this, we can once again start looking at year-on-year comparison per tree in terms of what's going on with the tree. What are the trends? Just overall, where should we be focusing our attention? So here, as an example, we have first bloom, full bloom, fruit set. We've got these recorded. We don't have some of the other data. Next year, we can go exactly the same items. You can say, when was first bloom, when was full bloom? If first bloom was 3 weeks earlier and we had a frost, we can come up with the assumption that the harvest, more than likely for that crop, is not going to be great. So if we add a phenology record, you'll see it's pulling through from the tree record again. We've got our year, and then we have our option for everything that we can track. We've got early frost, late frost, first bloom, full bloom, fruit set, fruit harvest, and leaf drop, with some optional notes. All of these will be shown in columns, which you can then track in the same column chronologically year after year. So it's a very visual, very quick way to see how is your tree reacting to different environments, or the same environment, different years, different climate changes, and then what is the impact of that on harvests, care, all of that stuff. So also a very, very, very valuable module. You can then, once again, filter by trees should you want to be doing that. We'll do a Washington navel. There it is over there. And then we have our analytics, which is summarizing everything that's busy going on in terms of harvests. This is chronological, so it's just showing one at the moment because I've only got one harvest, a snapshot in time. We'll be able to then get trends as we start collecting more and more data. We can, if we're using multiple units, so let's say we're doing in a bigger orchard, we're doing bushels, or we have grains or something like that, we could do bushels, but then we've got fruit as kilograms. There's lots of way that you can use the unit filter, and then you can go by tree as well. This is all tree. So we can see we have 1 year of data, we've got 54 kilograms of harvest. But if we go just to the Granny Smith tree, we can see 1 year and we've got 9 units, 9 kilograms. So you can filter in multiple different ways. And then we head back into the seed inventory module. So you can see this is a very, very comprehensive module. It's very quick to use once you get into it. I fully appreciate that not all of you are going to use the full module, but this gives you a very, very comprehensive platform to manage everything that you will be growing to eat on your homestead. I'm really excited about this module. It has helped me personally tremendously on my own homestead with planning, my urban homestead, with the little veggie garden we have. So I hope it's going to give you just as much value as it has for me. If you've got any questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you get this molded into the product that you want it to be.